Hello, my name is Dr. George Yacus. I'm a candidate for Virginia's District 3, House of Representatives, and I want to make this training video for you to help you understand some of my academic background and perhaps give you some more confidence in my abilities to be able to serve you as a congressman at the U.S. House of Representatives. I want to talk a little bit first about my school experience. I was really just so pleased to have gone to the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. I graduated in 1974, and it was a Bachelor of Science, and it was in political science, which is kind of funny because people say, oh, political science, why don't you pick something that's, more useful or relevant? But I have to tell you, I've used a lot more political science in my career than I have in some of my weapons courses or calculus or some of the other courses. So it was a good choice. I was excited and interested in it as a high school graduate going into college, and I still, to this day, enjoy political science. My next level of education happened at the United States Naval Postgraduate School. It's located in Monterey, California. Graduated there from 1984, and we actually had to do a thesis back then, and the name of my thesis was a performance-based management system for the United States Navy. And it was looking at ways that maybe we could take skilled technicians, and instead of making them, promoting them to leadership levels where they no longer were doing their skilled technical work that we paid so much to train them for, we could continue to compensate them for on a horizontal aspect of their longevity, rather than just making them managers and leaders, and then we never get a chance to capitalize on all the fancy training that they had. It was a really good thesis, and I really enjoyed doing it. So that was a master's in management. I have a master's degree that I don't have listed here because when I got out of the Navy in 1994, I went directly to Old Dominion University, and I got a master's in urban studies. And then finally that developed into a PhD, a Doctor of Philosophy, and Urban Services Management. It was technically a public administration degree. I didn't usually like the title, Urban Services Management, what's that? But actually it's a very valuable degree for being a congressman, because it talks about being able to manage and use public administration in government. And that's exactly what I would be doing as a congressman. So it's relevant, and it's a good degree. So it's funny, as I look back at my education, I wasn't sure at the time. When you're in high school, you're not really sure what you want to be when you grow up. But looking back, I could see from the political science side, the management side, and then the doctoral degree, which dealt with being able to be a public administrator and solve public problems. And that's what I hope to do if you elect me to Congress. Well, when you go to college, they give you a diploma, which you got a chance to see. Sometimes at certain levels they give you these really cool hats. I like to call this my Galileo hat. That's a PhD type of hat. And you don't get a t-shirt that said I went to college, but you do get a lot of knowledge included, and you read a lot of books. I wanted to show you this particular one, which is my doctoral dissertation. Validation of the risks and needs assessment used in the classification for parole and probation of Virginia's adult criminal offenders. It was a study that I did for the Department of Corrections, and it was just taking a look at a short questionnaire that we would give people getting ready to get out of jail on parole or probation, and judging from the results of that questionnaire, trying to decide the recidivism, whether they would come back into the prison system or not. So it was a good study. You learn a lot of research and research methodology and so forth. So that was my doctoral dissertation. To get through a PhD program or any one of these degrees, you have to read a lot, you have to study a lot. I want to just share some of the books that I have here. This particular book on the bottom is Management, Leading and Collaborating in a Competitive World. This is a course that I've been teaching for probably about 20 years now. I just taught it last semester, or the fall semester at Old Dominion University, talking about leadership and communications and strategic planning and international business and all sorts of dimensions of management. So it's a good topic. It's my favorite course to teach. I really enjoy it, and I've been teaching it regularly since 1998 when I got my degree. Next one here is international management. For a while I was teaching international management at Old Dominion University. I think this is important because understanding how nations trade and how they have legal systems and just how do we deal with foreign affairs and be able to place America in a global community, international management was very useful. This is a course I taught for a while. It was fun because I actually had union members come in live and had my students ask questions. It's the labor relations process. So right now in Virginia there's a very large discussion going on as far as whether Virginia should remain a Right to Work Act or not. So this is a good course to teach because it helped me to learn how unions get started, how they organize, what the history of unions are in America, even a little bit of international unions. So labor relations, important topic. A congressman needs to know something about it. This next one is Gary Yacus is the name of it. I remember his name because it's G-Y, like mine. And it's called Leadership in Organizations. And it is a really good textbook. I taught that to MBA students several years about how do we look at leadership. Do we go by character approaches, trait approaches? Is there such a thing as self-leadership? Are there contingency approaches to leadership? So a lot of people talk about leadership, but they don't really understand the theory. But I used to teach it at the MBA level. This is Yacus and Posner, The Leadership Challenge. It was a very famous book that came out probably about 10 years ago, but it talks about, it's a very good essay on leadership and how important and how you become an effective leader. Cresswell here is a research design. He is like the big gun in that particular field, and it deals with how do we gain knowledge, how do we do research. How do we, look at statistics? So it's every particular dissertation, or even every journal article that you were to read. There's 5 chapters. You have an introduction. You have a literature review. You have a methodology. You have your results, and then you have conclusions. That happens in every dissertation. But Cresswell describes all the finer points of how to do research and research design, worldviews, and all sorts of extra trivia, I guess you could say. This next book here is John Mitchell, Fiscal Administration. I taught governmental budgeting at the master's level for probably 6, 7, 8 years for Troy University. And it goes from start to finish, talks about federal, state, and local. So all the terms that we use as congressmen, as we get ready to review and approve budgets, you should know something about the whole budgetary process and the budget cycle, and I used to teach that, Mitchell, Fiscal Administration. Got a book here on statistical analysis. I'll probably talk more about that in my Lean Six Sigma video that I'm going to make later, talking about. But statistics, being able to look at them, understand them, and find out if they're relevant or people are trying to lie to you. And you look at things like central tendency and spread, and also probability as well. Here we have microeconomics for management. I think that was one of my undergraduate college texts. And then ethics. I did teach an ethics class. I taught a whole bunch of other classes as well. I've been teaching continuously since about 1998. And later on in the video I'll show you just a list of the things I've taught. But I think the bottom line there is that when you hire somebody who has a terminal degree, you're also getting a lot of knowledge that they have learned over the course of the years. We're here at the Old Dominion University Strome College of Business. This is where I've been teaching for quite a while, and I have taught at other places as well. I started out my teaching career actually, besides here when I was a graduate student, I taught my next assignment was the dean at International University in Vienna. It was a short gig, however it was very exciting, and it was teaching students from all over the world. I've also taught at Carnegie Mellon University, where I taught midshipman leadership. I also have taught at Troy University, governmental budgeting, especially in strategic management, and I've probably taught there 7, 8 years at the master's level. Currently teaching, besides here at Old Dominion University, teaching at the New England Institute of Business, which used to be called the National Graduate School. And I just want to talk a little bit about this whole PhD thing. I don't throw it in people's faces to make them think like, wow, I'm smarter than you. Actually, it has nothing to do with the amount of smartness, but what it does reflect is that you're able to go through a certain rigorous coursework and then be able to do research and successfully defend a doctoral dissertation, which you saw in the last segment. So people often ask, boy, what do you want to get a PhD for? You'll be overqualified. What do you use a doctorate for? But I found that it's been very useful. I've used it in my job, my professional life with the federal government, which I'll address in another video, and also in regular service to the community. Usually professors, when they're trying to get tenure, they get graded on their teaching ability, the research that they do, and also the service that they do, and publications as well. So I have some of those to my credit, although I've been pretty much working on applying the tools and what I have learned in the workplace, and also teaching at school. I want to talk a little bit about research, because after you do all the studying and you do your presentations of your materials and your dissertation, you continue your academic career doing research. Done some very good work with the federal highway system, doing intelligent transportation systems. We had a federal grant that was able to, actually that was one of the first times we got all the members from Hampton Roads, all the traffic coordinators, whatever, and had them in one room at one time discussing some of the Hampton Roads transportation problems. So that was very good. In fact, that article that I wrote was co-authored with my mentor when in the Handbook of Strategic Management as a book chapter. Some of the other technical writing that I've done dealt with looking at regionalism and Hampton Roads. And then also some refereed journals, again, strategic planning. And then scholarly books, as I mentioned, the Handbook of Strategic Management. I've done some really good dissertations. The last one I worked on dealt with cannabidiol and public policy. Before that, I also worked on one applying quality systems management principles to resolve problem disbursements at the Defense Financing and Accounting Center. They were having trouble with the international payments, and using Lean Six Sigma, we helped solve a very significant problem and actually saved quite a bit of money. Some of my other ones dealt with, here at Hampton Roads, an exploratory qualitative single case study on how the life skills programs affect young African American fathers. Dr. Jason Williams just got his degree about a year ago, and I worked with him on that particular study, talking about how young black American fathers, if they have life skill training, they can bring their children up better. It's a significant difference. And then I also did something dealing with efficiency of railroads here for some of the work that we did with Norfolk Southern. So you can see there are public problems that I've been able to work on. Right now I'm working on a dissertation topic dealing with why federal workers don't telework, which is kind of interesting. I'm not sure how we're going to be able to do it because we've got so many of them that are now teleworking out of necessity. So that's just a little bit about research. So besides the research, we also have done quite a bit of teaching. This is Management 325, which is Contemporary Organizations and Management. Some of them have been on TeletechNet. I've had students that are out in like San Diego and even in Turkey. So it was very interesting teaching worldwide asynchronous internet courses, as well as a lot of classroom ones. You can see that I've been teaching this one since 1998 and taught quite a few sessions. I've taught labor management relations for several times through 2004 through 2012. I've taught business policy at International University, production operation management, that's like ops analysis, and entrepreneurship and small business management. Those were some of the courses that I taught when I was over in Vienna. Strategic theory also as well. When I was back in the States, international business operations. So the international side of management, Management 361, one of the courses here for several years. And also advanced human resources topics, organizational behavior, comparative international management, which talks about comparing management in different countries, organizational management, several courses there, the 602 graduate course as well. Marketing management, I taught that to at sea, at USS Theodore Roosevelt. I had some students there. Here's my MBA 625. I taught this for quite a while, leadership classes. Public budgeting systems here for Troy University several times, strategic management, ethics, international business, and then also governmental budgeting. There it is again, quite a bit up until 2008. and then finally doctoral dissertations. So you can see I've had a fairly extensive history of being able to teach students in class, hundreds and hundreds of students. So in closing, I think I've been able to demonstrate that I've gone to some pretty credible universities, and I've attained quite a bit of subject knowledge on very wide variety of subjects. I've been able to teach and let people know to share with them. So knowledge sharing, I think, is very important as a teacher. My resume has been posted on my website, so all the same material is available to you, so you can take a look at it and see the places I've been and what I've taught and the research I've done and everything else. So we call it a curriculum vitae, and that's what I have behind me. So a good toolbox of subject knowledge. I've been a political scientist and then a management specialist. In fact, I like to think of myself as an MD, a management dude. But actually the name of my band is the Fun Doctor, so you could also call me a Fun Doctor or an MD, and I'll answer up to either one. And then finally, Urban Services Management, which really deals with being able to provide services to people in a public administration venue. I think I'm bringing to the table analytical skills. I'm able to discern material that I read and to be able to tell whether the statistics are valid or whether we have, statistics are lying to us. So that's important. Another thing I think I'm bringing to the table is it's a record of lifelong learning. I didn't just once teach college or didn't just once write a dissertation. I have been an active learner from 1974 right now until 2020 as I continue to teach at 2 different universities right now. So finally, I think that one of the most important things to you as a discerning voter is, are you going to send somebody to Washington that knows something about international business, that has been able to teach governmental budgeting and teach leadership and teach management and teach strategic planning and teach entrepreneurship? These are the topical areas that a congressman is going to be able to deal with and to be able to bring back and apply to the 3rd District here in Virginia. So thank you for watching my video on my academic background.